The SEC has been and currently is the best league in college football, and it's not being treated as such by the College Football Playoff Committee. You're going to ask me why I believe that. I'm actually not going to give you my opinion as to why. I'm going to give you the best evaluators the sport has to offer. So who is that? I'm going to give you the wins and losses. I'm going to give you what the NFL scouts think. I'm going to give you what the 247 recruiting ranking specialists think, and what the Oddsmakers think, which in my opinion are probably the 4 best evaluators that the sport has to offer. Okay. So here I have the non-con records against Power 4 teams. So how other teams did against other conferences this season. We're going to include Tulane, Boise, Oregon State, Washington State. We'll throw into that as well. Number 4, the Big 12, 6-10 against those conferences. Number 3, it's not the ACC. It's the Big 10, 8-11, 42% win percentage. Number 2 is the ACC. They were 10-9. And number 1 at 11-5, 70% win percentage is the SEC. What more do you need to say? The SEC has had the best win percentage every single year of any conference since 2007. I was in pre-K in 2007. And the SEC currently is 160, 63% win percentage, leads college football. Big 10 second, 59%. ACC, 58%. The Big 12, 57%. So there you go. I gave you the wins and losses. About recruiting. How about recruiting? Well, there's an old saying in college football, national championships are won in living rooms. I agree with that statement because it's what separates college football from any other sport. If college basketball, national championships were won in living rooms, Duke and Kentucky would win every year. None of those teams have won a championship since 2015. If baseball were won in living rooms, the Dodgers and Yankees would win every year. Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. Alabama signed 7 straight number 1 recruiting classes from 2011 to 2017. 7 straight. Well, from 2009 to 2020, they won 7 national championships. Every national championship team has had at least 50% of its roster consist of 4 and 5-star rated players on 247 since recruiting ratings started in 2010. Look, they're not perfect. They're not the absolute spot-on perfectionist ranking that people want it to be. But they matter. Recruiting ratings absolutely matter. You need a certain amount of talent on your team to win a national championship. That's been proven. So where is all of that talent? Where is it all going? Let's take a look. I, through the Triple H model, went back and researched how many 4 and 5-star players were in each conference. This is what I got. At number 4, so there's 1,247 total blue chip recruits, 4 and 5-star players in college football. Number 4, at 10%, 121 in total, is the Big 12. At number 3, at 218 total, 18% is the ACC, a 10% jump. 9%. At number 2, 28% of 4 and 5-star players, with 342 in total, are in the Big 10. And number 1, at 45%, with 556 4 and 5-star players, the Southeastern Conference. Do you ever wonder why the SEC has 14 of the last 19 national championships? Why no other league has more than 3 in that span? That's why. Arkansas, have it right here, has 19 4 and 5-star players on their roster. That's 13th in the SEC. You know what that would be in the Big 10? 6th. 6th place. Mississippi State, this is the jaw dropper, has 16 4 and 5-star players on its team. That's 15th out of 16 teams in the SEC. 15th out of 16th. You know what that would be in the Big 12? First. Yeah, that's right. The talent in the SEC is absolutely unrivaled. And if you want me to consider your conference equal to the SEC, start recruiting better. Plain and simple. Start recruiting better. Because every single year, recruiting ratings have been a thing since 2010. The SEC has gotten the most 4- and 5-star players every consecutive year since recruiting ratings inception on 247 in 2010. And those who say recruiting rankings don't matter, look again. Look at the championships. And here's another argument. Let's ask the NFL scouts what they have to say. What is their thoughts? Since 2007, here's how many players have been drafted by each conference. Number 4, the Big 12, 495 players. Number 3, the ACC, 607 players. Number 2, the Big 10, 867 players. And number 1, at a staggering 1,217 players, the SEC. So that's historically. What about now? In mock drafts, they aren't 100% accurate, but they are the most accurate indicator of what is to come. There's no disputing that. PFF's big board, their first 4 rounds, here's how it goes. There's 13 Group of 5 or FCS players. There's 16 Big 12 players. In the first 4 rounds, 17 ACC players, 28 Big 10 players, 54 SEC players. Look, the scouts favor the SEC, clearly. The wins and losses favor the SEC, clearly. So how about the odds makers? They're pretty good at this predicting thing, aren't they? Online sportsbooks made $14 billion last year. That's more than ESPN, by the way. They're really good at this predicting thing, and they get people. So I'm going to use my model, which has made me thousands from beating the sports books, from beating those sports books that have made that much money. And those, you're going to say, oh my gosh, no, you're going to use your model. That's biased. That's not fair. You think, I'm going to ask you a common sense question. Do you think I created this model to prop up the SEC? Or do you think I created this model to make money? I'll let you decide on that. Just a common sense question. So let's see what it thinks. Okay, here's a graphic. I'm going to list out the first best Big 10 team against the first best SEC team all the way down to number 16. Okay. Ohio State, half a point against Ole Miss. That's SEC 1 against Big 10 1. Big 10 wins that. Here's the rest of them. Alabama, -3 against Oregon. Georgia, -3 against Indiana. Texas, -5 against Penn State. Tennessee, -3 against Iowa. LSU, -1 against Minnesota. South Carolina, -5 against Southern California. Florida, -4 against Michigan. Arkansas, -5 against Illinois. Missouri, -5 against Rutgers. Auburn, -8 against Washington. Texas A&M, -8 against Wisconsin. Kentucky, -6 against Nebraska. Vanderbilt, -8 against UCLA. Oklahoma, -5 against Maryland. And because there's 18 teams in the Big Ten, I took the last 3 and I averaged them. The mean of Purdue, Northwestern, and Michigan State is -5 against Mississippi State. The SEC won 14 of 16 of those matchups, some of them very definitive. So I've told you the wins and losses. I told you the NFL scouts. I've told you what the recruiting rankings think, what the odds makers think. All 4 favor the SEC by a vast margin. So call me an SEC homer, man. But until I'm called off that hill of saying the SEC is the best conference, I'm going to be on this hill. Because if I have the NFL scouts with me, if I have the odds makers with me, if I have the recruiting rankings with me, I'm being kept company. And if I have 14 of the last 19 national championships on that hill with me, I'll stay on that hill. There you go.